We are now heading into week 3 of the NFL season, which means we have 2 weeks of data and 2 weeks of film. It's kind of like what I said I was going to do for this video last week, was thinking more about matchups and kind of what I want people out there to be looking for, and maybe, just maybe, you can exploit them a little bit. Again, it's small sample size of tape, small sample size of data, but maybe there's an opportunity for us out there to exploit these matchups in our start-sit decisions for week 3. This will be an interesting week for the Vikings against Cincinnati Bengals. Carson Wentz, because of the fact that the Bengals are giving up a poop ton of passing yards, could actually have a decent enough game even in his first start for the Vikings. On the flip side, Jordan Mason should be in a pretty smash spot as well. Just two people to kind of think about, not so much Carson Wentz, but more Jordan Mason and the receivers for the Vikings. You're probably starting the ones that you have on your roster right now. Anyways, the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams should be in store for a pretty good game this week. Not only because Ben Johnson doesn't want to go 0-3, but also because the Dallas defense, as far as the secondary, is giving up a lot of passing yards game over game over game. Obviously, it's only been 2 games, so it's game over game. I'm thinking Caleb Williams is going to have a pretty good game. The pass catchers for this team, especially Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, should be in store for pretty big games for fantasy purposes. It is only week 2, though, so if I miss on a bunch of these, I'm fine with that as well. 3 weeks to 4 weeks is more of a true sample size before these exploit videos are going to be like click, click. From there, the Chiefs this week, their passing game, whether it's Travis Kelce, Hollywood Brown, should look pretty good. The Giants have been giving up a sizable chunk of passing yards to the first 2 weeks, and their pass defense doesn't look that good on tape either. Another matchup to monitor this week is the Lions versus the Ravens. The Ravens have been giving up a lot of passing yards through the air. I would anticipate that we're able to see the Lions exploit this. Jared Goff should be able to kind of pick them apart a little bit in that secondary. I am a little bit more concerned about the run game for Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, but Jahmyr Gibbs is involved in the passing game, so if they get him involved in that, then he might explode as well. But all the pass catchers for the Lions should be set up to have pretty good games this coming week. Another matchup to monitor is the Steelers passing game against the New England Patriots. The Patriots are not letting you run the ball. Steelers can't run the ball. Aaron Rodgers should look pretty good in week 3. DK Metcalf should kind of pop off in week 3 as well against the New England Patriots. There's not really a true number 2 defined on the Patriots team right now. So I would kind of just look to see, does Aaron Rodgers look good? Yes. DK Metcalf look good? Then yes. Like, the passing game should look pretty good. Jaylen Warren is not somebody you're going to want to start this week because, again, the Patriots defense does not let you run the football on them right now. And on the flip side, like, Jaylen Warren hasn't looked very good so far. So just something to keep in mind. We'll monitor how Aaron Rodgers looks. Again, like, if we see these people pop off and you're not really starting anybody that you wouldn't normally start, it is something to like know and monitor and note going forward, that not only, like I said, is the tape looking a certain way, but also the stats are lining up to make it make sense as well. As far as the running games go this week, and kind of a little bit of the offense too, the Packers are going to be in for a pretty rough week. The Browns have not let people run all over them. They held Derrick Henry to like 23 yards in week 2, so Josh Jacobs could be in store for a pretty bad week. Packers offense as a whole could be in store for a decently bad week, only because, again, the Browns defense has been pretty stout and pretty good. And number 2, the Packers probably won't have to score very many points because the Browns kind of seem just inept at scoring points or moving the ball down the field on offense. On the flip side, same problem for the Browns. They're going up against a really good Packers team, so literally in the same matchup. Wouldn't really think that you'd want to start anybody on the Browns this week, whether it's the running backs or the wide receivers, because of that Packers defense and the pass rush they get. But again, it's only 2 weeks, so don't let my video affect your start-sit decisions, but you will kind of see this reflect in my rankings and tiers as well. I'm not going to say not to start all these players because, again, week 1, week 2, it's kind of a small sample size, so we'll see what happens in week 3. For the Commanders this week, they're going up against the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders have not let people run the ball on them through 2 weeks. It has been 2 rookie running backs. This will be the 3rd rookie running back who's starting. There's also a chance that Jaden Daniels doesn't start this week. If that's the case, it's going to be a pretty bad matchup on the ground, because if there's not the QB who can extend the plays with his legs, run the actual football, throw the actual football, I don't think it sets Bill Krosky-Merritt up to have a good week, so I would not want to start him personally. But again, take all this with a grain of salt because it is only week 3. So another matchup to monitor is the Jets versus the Bucks in week 3. I'm assuming Justin Fields won't play because of the concussion protocol. That means Tyrod Taylor is going to be the starting QB, so I'm not already in love with that idea. That does not set up Breece Hall very well, because if there's no true passing game, it's going to kind of close up and bottle up the run game, in my opinion. Also, Tampa Bay has not been letting people run the ball on them, so Breece Hall could be in a really tough spot. He looked a little in week 2, looked really good in week 1. He could obviously pop off against the Tampa Bay Bucks in week 3, but it's not somebody I personally would really feel confident starting in week 3, just based on what we've seen from Tampa Bay in their run defense through the first 2 weeks. Now, on the flip side, matchups that I do like is the Bills versus the Dolphins. Obviously, there's a reality where it's a higher scoring game, quote unquote. The Dolphins defense has allowed a lot of rush yards the first 2 weeks. They haven't looked very good on defense as a whole on tape. James Cook is in a smash spot where he could rush for another 100 and some yards, touchdown or 2, because he does have a lot of touchdown equity on this team. Obviously, starting James Cook every week anyways, but this should be a pretty smash week for you to feel very confident in him in week 3. We also have the Dallas Cowboys going up against the Chicago Bears. Javonte Williams, if you're not sure about starting him, I think he's a smash start this week. It should be a situation where Javonte can actually really get it going on the ground. Not really worried about the touchdown equity because obviously it's there. But if you're not sure about Javonte Williams, I would assume, again, based off the first 2 weeks, Chicago's run defense looks kind of poor. He should be in a smash spot for week 3. From there, the Tennessee Titans are going up against the Indianapolis Colts. The run defense, though, has not looked very good. I know Sweat was out last week, but he was there in week 1, and it still didn't look very good for this run defense. Jonathan Taylor should be in store for a pretty smash game this week. He should kind of pop off. I'd be surprised if he had under 100 rushing yards. Like, I would legitimately be surprised. So the last matchup I kind of wanted to touch on real quick, the Chiefs are going up against the Giants. I know I talked about them earlier for the passing game, and that Patrick Mahomes should be able to pass the ball a lot in week 3. I wouldn't be surprised if Pacheco or Kareem Hunt look pretty good in week 3. If that happens, don't overreact and think that one of them is just going to be this breakout monster guy. But so far, the first 2 weeks, the Giants' run defense and pass defense have looked pretty bad so far, not only through the stats, but also on tape. They've just been getting, ran on, passed on. It's just not been a good defense so far through the first couple of weeks. Maybe Brian Daboll changes that in week 3, but if that's not the case, don't overreact. If Kareem Hunt or Isaiah Pacheco pop off a little bit, maybe they rush for 60 to 70 yards, which again isn't that much, but compared to what they've done in the first couple of weeks, it would seem very, very significant, and you probably buy into the hype. Don't fall into that trap if that's what we see in week 3. It's one of those things where if this kind of trends the way that I think these games are going to trend and kind of like who I'm calling out, it is like solidifying for me that these teams are going to be, either really good at pass defense, really bad at pass defense, really good at run defense, really bad at run defense, and something to monitor and exploit as we go farther into the season. Things could obviously change in week 3 because usually, from my experience, you need about a 3 to 4 game sample size and then kind of rolling to kind of see how teams are trending on the defense side of the football, but we'll kind of see what happens with these matchups so far. So there are like my initial week 3 matchups that I'm monitoring. Again, these aren't like solid predictions, and this isn't solid matchups to exploit because, again, we have such a small sample size, right? But it is something to kind of monitor, see how these players do, see how these teams' defenses do against the run and against the pass, whether they're able to stop it or they're just getting ran over or passed all over in week 3. Hopefully this video is a little entertaining. I don't know how much it's actually going to help you. Hopefully maybe it helps you just a little bit. Maybe it'll help you gain a little bit of trust in these videos going forward so that it'll help you exploit matchups later on in the season. And then that will help you get a little bit closer to winning your fantasy football championship in 2025. If you guys are looking for my waiver wire pickups, I know the waiver wire has already passed, but if you are looking for that video, it'll be out here somewhere down below if you feel so inclined. Hopefully I'll see you guys again. Hopefully you guys will see me again real soon. And until then, y'all have a blessed day.